Welcome to Transition to Coding. This is JavaScript Fundamentals course and the topic is JavaScript History. So let's begin. Today's JavaScript is substantially different from its initial release. It might seem unnecessary to learn the history, but when we learn it, we understand the nature of the language in a better way and evaluate its potential in the future. For example, even the creator of JavaScript, Brendan Eich, has regretted adding loose comparison operator over the strict one in the first version of JavaScript. Keep in mind that when comparing values of different types, JavaScript converts values into numbers. So in our first example, when comparing number1 with string1 using loose comparison operator, it returns true because of the conversion. However, when comparing number1 with string1 using strict comparison operator, it returns false because there is no conversion. Another weirdness of JavaScript is null having a type of object and not a number, none having a type of number. All these imperfections is bound to the fact that JavaScript was created in just 10 days. The story starts at 1993. First web browser with graphical user interface created. It was Mosaic and created by members of NCSA, which stands for National Center for Supercomputing Applications. NCSA was a group at the University of Illinois, and the following year developers of NCSA left NCSA to create Netscape Corporation. In 1994, Netscape Navigator created. It was a browser, but it was more advanced and more usable than Mosaic. After 4 months of its release, Netscape Navigator captured 75% of the browser market. In 1995, Microsoft created Internet Explorer to take control of browser market from Netscape. Therefore, Netscape had to do something in return. And mentioning one thing, websites could only be static back then, lacking the capability of dynamic behavior. Therefore, Netscape decided to add a scripting language which would allow interactions with the DOM and eventually make the web page dynamic. Netscape followed 2 routes to accomplish the task. First one is collaborating with Sun Microsystems to embed a newly created Java language, and the second one is hiring Brendan Eich to embed Scheme language. The question is, if Java was great, why bring on Brendan? The thing is, Netscape had a goal. They wanted a scripting language simple enough for designers and amateurs. Unfortunately, Java was not that. According to the idea, professionals could use Java and everyone else would use a new language. In just 10 days, Brendan created first version of JavaScript. Initially, it was called Mocha. Mocha had a syntax similar to Java, prototype-based object model from Self, and functional style of Scheme. Self is an object-oriented programming language based on prototypes, and when we say functional style, JavaScript has first-class functions. It means we treat functions like any other variable, so functions can be assigned to another variable or passed as an argument or can be returned by another function. Eventually, the name Mocha changed to LiveScript, and then LiveScript changed to JavaScript. And why JavaScript? Because meantime Java was so popular, so Brendan decided JavaScript name as a marketing strategy. In 1996, because JavaScript changed user experience of the web, Microsoft had to come up with a solution to stay as a competing browser. They reverse engineered JavaScript and created JScript. However, implementations of JavaScript and JScript was different. It was hard for developers to build a website that works on both browsers. Best viewed in Netscape and best viewed in Internet Explorer logos became common for most companies. But before Microsoft could claim their version of JScript as a web standard, Netscape submitted JavaScript to ECMA International. But wait a minute, what is ECMA? ECMA stands for European Computer Manufacturers Association. It is founded in 1961 and focused on the standardization of information and communication systems. Under ECMA, each new specification comes with a standard and a committee. In JavaScript's case, the standard is ECMA 262 and the committee is TC39, which stands for Technical Committee. TC39 members are usually made up from browser vendors and large companies who invested heavily in the web like Facebook and PayPal. If you go to Google and type ECMA and click on the first link, you'll go to the website of ECMA International. Under Publications and Standards, go to Standards and you will see a bunch of standards. We'll look for ECMA 262 This is JavaScript standard. If you click on that, it'll take us to the archives of all the ECMAScript versions. You can download them and have a look at them if you want to. And if you want to take a look at the latest version that TC39 works on, you go to Google again and type TC39. Click on the first link. Under specs, go to ECMA 260 ECMAScript, and there you go. There is an interesting fact though. If you look up the ECMA 262 standard, you will notice that the term JavaScript has never been used. Instead, ECMAScript is used to talk about the official language. The reason is that Oracle owns the trademark for the term JavaScript. To avoid legal issues, ECMAScript is used instead. In 1997, ES1 released. 1 year later, in 1998, ES2 released, but not much changed between ES1 and ES2. In 1999, ES3 released with 4 major updates: strict equality, regular expressions, switch statement, and try and catch handling. And ES3 was the last major update to ECMAScript for almost a decade, because ES4 never released. The reason for that is proposals of ES4 looked like modern day version of TypeScript, including classes, interfaces, and optional type annotations. And because of complexities, Microsoft refused to have any part of ES4, and most of the time Microsoft played by their own rules, shipping new features for their browser only. Eventually Microsoft stopped contributing on ECMA work, so ES4 release failed. But what happened after ES4 failure? Original plan was that Java would be the primary language for complex web applications and JavaScript would be used with simple form-based apps. The thing is, there was still misunderstanding and dislike towards JavaScript in 2000s. This is the first person, Douglas Crockford, who discovered good parts of JavaScript and created JSON, JSMin, and JSLint. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's a file format consisting of key-value pairs. JSMin is a minification tool that removes comments and unnecessary white spaces from JavaScript lines. And JSLint is a tool for checking if JavaScript source code compiles with coding rules. As you can see, there is 10 years gap between ES3 and ES5 releases, but lots of technologies emerged at the time being. In 2002, Mozilla Firefox released. In 2003, Safari released. In 2004, Gmail was launched with 1 GB of storage space. In 2005, Ajax, Google Maps, and YouTube released. You know Google Maps, you know YouTube. I'll explain what Ajax is. Ajax stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's used to create asynchronous web applications. By using Ajax, web apps can send and retrieve data from server asynchronously without affecting behavior of the web page. I'll explain what synchronous versus asynchronous mean in simpler terms. For example, if you go to bakery and you want to buy bread, you are waiting in the queue. You cannot go ahead of a person, or the person right behind you cannot go ahead of you. You are all waiting synchronously for your turn. But if you go to the restaurant and you order something, the table next to you, they also order something. It can happen simultaneously. You don't have to wait for other table to order. It all happens asynchronously. Hope it makes sense now. In 2006, jQuery released. It is a JavaScript library designed to manipulate HTML DOM tree, event handling, CSS animation, etc. In 2007, first generation of iPhone was announced by Steve Jobs, year after Google Chrome released. In 2009 is considered the year for JavaScript's rebirth with 2 major updates, Node.js and ES5. Node.js was created by Google software engineer Ryan and used CommonJS specification. CommonJS is a set of standards used to implement modules on JavaScript. Node.js uses Chrome's V8 engine to run JavaScript code, and Node.js allows JavaScript code to be run outside of the browser. And the second major update is the release of ES5. ES5 added several enhancements and became one of the most supported versions of JavaScript. We have got useStrict, bunch of array methods, map filter, JSON.parse, JSON.stringify, date methods, object methods, function.bind, etc. In addition, in 2009, CoffeeScript released as well. It's a transpiler. It's a language influenced by Ruby, Python, which transpiles into JavaScript. In 2010, Angular released. It's a framework to build single-page applications. In 2011, Browserify released. Browserify enables you write code that uses CommonJS required syntax, even though your code will run in the browser. In 2013, React released, and it is a library to build user interfaces. In 2014, Babel, Vue, and Webpack released. Babel is a JavaScript transpiler used to convert ES6 into ES5 JavaScript so that it can run in browser even in old ones. Vue.js is a JavaScript framework for building user interfaces. Webpack is a static model bundler. When we say bundler, it means when we write code, we might have multiple JS files, multiple CSS files, images, and what bundler does, it takes all modules and create one minified version. In 2015, ES6 released, and it has been the largest update to JavaScript up to date. To be compatible with older browsers, ES6 requires transpilers such as Babel. We have got let, const, arrow functions, classes, promises, string, array methods, JavaScript models, etc. After ES6, TC39 made a decision that ECMAScript would have yearly smaller updates. So from now on, we'll see updates on a yearly basis from ECMAScript. In 2016, ES7 released with array.prototype.includes. And Svelte released, which is a front-end JavaScript framework for making interactive web pages. In 2017, ES8 released with async functions, async and await, object and string methods, etc. 2017 is also a year for the release of WebAssembly. It's a low-level binary format for the web. It's designed to parse and execute faster than JavaScript. It enables you to write code in your favorite language and it will work on the web. Any code written in C++ or C# language can be compiled to WebAssembly bytecode, then all major browsers can run and work with. Mentioning one thing, it's not a replacement for JavaScript, it's designed to complement JavaScript. This is a visual representation of how files interact with each other. We write code in our favorite language, then it is compiled into WASM bytecode, then in JavaScript model we fetch WASM file, and finally methods can be called and used like JavaScript functions. In 2018, ES9 released with several updates such as async iterators, object rest and spread properties, promise finally, and some of the new regular expression features. And TensorFlow also released in 2018. It's a library for machine learning and artificial intelligence. In 2019, ES10 released with some of the array and string methods, symbol property description, optional catch binding, etc. In 2020, ES11 released with big int, dynamic import, exporting models, optional chaining, knowledge coalescing operator, etc. In 2021, ES12 released with several updates such as numeric separators, string methods, logical assignment operator, etc. In 2022, ES13 released with top-level await, private instance fields, static class fields and methods, at method of array string, etc. Finally, in June 2023, ES14 released with 4 updates. If you have noticed, I've not gone through updates in depth. I've just included them in the slides for completeness. In future videos, I'll go through most of them. If it doesn't make sense at the moment, no worries. and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
So bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.